Uncle James Ali Bashir,
Yes,
thank you so much for talking to Bayloric TV.
it's a pleasure.
I feel like I've been a bit of a naughty boy. I haven't spoken to you for so long.
It's all right. I mean, that you got work. When you got work, you're busy. When you got work, you're busy. So that's a good sign.
Well, yeah, but a 5 hour difference is a bit of a pain. I mean, we're 5 hours. I don't know what the difference is. We're 5 hours ahead of New York, so I don't know what the difference is for you.
Yeah, I'm in New Jersey, so New York and New Jersey is the same thing.
Yeah, so I'm 5 hours ahead of you. So 1:32 in the morning for us.
Germany is 7 hours ahead. Ukraine is 7. Germany is 6 hours ahead, and Ukraine is 7 hours ahead. So we don't talk.
I shouldn't complain. When I was in Australia, they were 12 hours ahead, so almost a day. So I shouldn't complain. Okay, so there's so much to talk about. I guess the first thing we've got to talk about is the announcement of the next big fight: Wladimir Klitschko against Pulev.
Yeah, it's a very interesting fight because Pulev is a unique boxer, and he's not afraid. He's a unique boxer, and he's not afraid. So I expect it to be a relatively competitive fight. I think Wladimir will win the fight, but I think that it'll be very spirited and competitive.
The left jab of Pulev, I think he's got a very good left jab and an amateur pedigree.
Yeah, he's got a good left jab. He's got a few good. Like I said, he's a good boxer. We respect the fact that he's a good boxer. So we're going to try to pull in the best sparring partners that we can, and who could emulate his style or come close to his style, and try to find a way to beat him.
Well, it's interesting because this is the first time you've spoken this way. I mean, you didn't even speak of Povetkin in that way, the way you're talking about Pulev. And I always thought
like
that...
I said, you have to be aware. The name of the sport is not punching. The name of the sport is boxing.
Right.
I think that Pulev is the kind of guy that's going to try to get out front on points and try to hold on to a lead to try to, skate to the title.
Right.
So I'm very much on edge about this fight, So
this guy's dangerous then?
In my mind, yes, he's dangerous. I'd rather be overcautious than be undercautious, So in my mind, he's like I said, he's a spirited boxer, and he's not afraid. Psychologically, he's not afraid. He believes that he belongs there. He believes that he can beat the champion. And this is the kind of guy that the powers that be, the people that surround the champion, should be nervous about. I am. I'm nervous about him. I'm not looking at it like this is a cakewalk.
Now, I always believed that Pulev was a legitimate threat to the Klitschkos. Wladimir more than Vitaly.
I spoke to Wladimir 2 years ago. 2 years ago, about this same guy. And now we're at the gate. But I welcome the fight because people will get a chance to appreciate just how good an all-around fighter that Wladimir Klitschko is. He's not always entertaining, but he gets the job done.
Holding won't be good enough in this fight. Straight up. It's not good enough. He's going to have to put on a performance that a world heavyweight champion should put on, which is...
it's a case for and against. Sometimes it's Vladimir's fault that he holds, and sometimes it's the opponent's fault that he allows him to hold. You can't hold unless you put yourself into a position to hold. If an opponent is there, you can't blame another opponent for doing what he has to do to win the fight. And it's not always pretty, but it's effective. That's the name of the game, to be effective.
Okay, so I know it's to be effective, but we want to see from our world heavyweight champion, the champion got out there and dominating. Back in there when Tyson was around, he'd go out there, boom, and was going to knock guys out. Or he made the attempt to go and knock guys out. Evander Holyfield gave you that value for money. Rick Bowe gave you that value for money. Lennox Lewis gave you that value for money. He tried to take guys out. Lennox was a bit cautious, but when he went to do a job, he did a job. Wladimir, you feel he's more of the more cautious side, and just want to see him inject a bit more oomph into his fights.
I've told you on numerous occasions that
absolutely,
I'm a trainer, but I'm also a fan.
Yes.
And I want to see Lad open up more and punch more. I want to see that, but we don't know what could have happened to Wladimir in the three losses that he had. We don't know what happened. or what Emanuel Stewart trained him to do over the years. We don't know what took place.
Right.
So being fair to Wladimir, we can't actually blame him for a style that was introduced to him by a master trainer, Emanuel Stewart.
Right.
Emanuel's a safety first guy. In some cases, in history you'll find where he was a guy that liked it, aggressive guys, and he wanted Wladimir to punch. He wanted Wladimir to open up the punch, but we don't know what happened to him in those fights. We don't know what happened. If you look at the fights prior to the Corey Sanders fight, he was blasting everybody.
Yes, but then you see when you're out, I guess when you're throwing more punches, as Brian Jennings says, and you are defensively irresponsible, you're more open to getting hit with punches. So Wladimir has become more defensively responsible and takes less punches and lands his own, which is the aim of the game: hit and not get hit. That's the sweet science.
He does. He doesn't take a lot of random chances.
Yep.
Every boxer takes a chance when he steps through those ropes, but he does not take a lot of random chances. He's not irresponsible the way he was with Corey Sanders. He's not irresponsible the way he was with Lemon Brewster throwing all those punches. But again, I thought that he fought an excellent fight against Lemon Brewster, the first fight. I thought it was an excellent fight. I loved the fight. I look back at the fight now. I love the fight, except for the fact that he ran out of gas. He just ran out of gas the same way he did against Ross Purity. I love that fight. I love those two fights, Ross Purity and Lemon Brewster. I thought he was doing an excellent job in those fights, but he just ran out of gas.
Yeah.
He was hyper. He was very hyper, and he threw a lot of punches, random punches that caused him to lose steam going down the stretch. And hey, what can you say?
Okay, let's talk about July the 26th. As you know, there are two big heavyweight fights on. Mm-hmm. Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora. Have you been watching?
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I think that it has the chemistry for a great fight.
Right.
I think they have the chemistry to make a great fight. Tyson is going to try to punch. He's going to try to open up. He's going to try to establish a lead. He's going to try to intimidate Derek Chisora, which I would really like to see. Him try to intimidate Derek Chisora. Chisora, on the other hand, is out for blood this time. He's going out to establish himself as the guy who's going to challenge for the title.
Right.
And he's going to give it everything that he got. I expect for Chisora to give it all that he has. I would be alarmed if he didn't. So the chemistry for this fight has a great makeup. And I wish both of them the best. I really do. And I look forward to challenging those two guys with Wladimir Klitschko.
What are the keys to victory for both guys?
What'd you say?
The keys to victory for both guys.
The keys to victory for both guys, I think that Derek Chisora needs to cut the ring down right from the giddy up. He's going to have to eat something coming in. He can't bob weave everything that Tyson Fury is going to throw. But he needs to cut the ring down right from the opening bell. He needs to push him back and need to fight him on the ropes. He doesn't need a big, tall guy that can box in the center of the ring, just circling him.
Right.
So he'll have to employ, of course, overhand rights and wide left hooks. Short left hooks is not going to do it. Wide left hooks is the ones. Tyson may be able to catch those hooks early, but he won't catch them throughout 12 rounds. Derek is putting the pressure on him. Those hooks will land, and the overhand rights. So that's the thing that he'll have to employ. Tyson, on the other hand, will have to stay outside, employ a good, stiff double jab. Not a single jab, double jab. Double jab, triple jab, followed by right hands. Keep it basic. He doesn't need to get into hooking contests and uppercuts and all that stuff. He needs to just keep it basic. Good stiff jab, good stiff right hand. Keep it very simple. Because, trying to throw uppercuts and hooks against a guy like Chisora, with a tall guy like Tyson, he can make him very vulnerable to counterpunches.
Wow. What do you think of this thing? Tyson Fury, when I interviewed, he said to me that he could beat Derek Chisora with his hand tied behind his back.
Well, I like his confidence. You know, you can't blame a man for his confidence. But I don't know if anybody's going to be able to do that to Derek Chisora in this fight. Least of all, Tyson Fury. But I do like his confidence. I like his swagger, you know. And what can I say? He said he can beat him behind his back. You can't deny his confidence. But I don't see it. I think he's going to have to fight this time. I think it's going to be a fight. If they can partially live up to the fight between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. If they can just partially live up to that, it'll be a great fight. But I think Derek is coming to fight. I think he's going to consume what he has to get close to him, and I'm expecting a good fight. I cannot wait.
Derek has been sparring with Mariusz Vach and Alexander Usyk. Both fighters have had a long chat with, and they have very high respect for Derek Chisora. What are your thoughts about both guys as sparring partners?
Mariusz Vach, and who else is sparring with him?
Alexander Usyk.
Big guys, both big guys, very competent guys. You know, Usyk is a bit slow.
Yes, aggressive though.
Yeah, aggressive, big, slow. Tyson is more fluid than him.
Yep.
Tyson has more movement, but Mariusz Vach is a very good fighter. Is a very good fighter that can box. You know, in fact, you know, he's one of the few fighters in the world that I'd like to train. I would like to train Mariusz Vach. I think that I can do some things with him. I've watched him over the years, and there's a lot of things that he does that I like, that I can work with, you know?
Okay.
And he was a good guy to bring him the fight with Tyson Fury.
Right.
I'd like to see a fight between Vach and Tyson Fury, because Vach is that kind of guy.
Right. So he's a good fighter than Vach. You got a lot of respect for him.
I got a lot of respect for him.
Took some great shots off of Wladimir and came back and threw some of his own as well.
Yeah. As I've said, I've worked in the gym with him over the years, down in New Jersey where his promoter is, and I've had the chance to watch him up close and personal. And he's a good fighter, and he has the right temperament, you know, to be a fighter. He has the right temperament. He understands the dynamics of boxing, and that makes a trainer's job that much easier. Much easier.
The other fight, sorry.
When you get guys who don't understand the dynamics, it makes the job hard.
Yes.
But Vach, he understands the dynamics, and it's easier to get to his mindset because he understands it's going to benefit him. So, yeah, he's one of the few guys. Derek Chisora brought in two good sparring partners. And he had one guy that was slow but very strong.
Yes.
And he had another guy that can box and very tough mentally.
Yes.
So he'll be prepared for Tyson, you know. Who did Tyson use for sparring partner?
I'm not sure. Eddie Chambers, Martin Rogan. I don't know about the rest. I can't tell you because I don't know.
I guess they found a justification for using Eddie Chambers, but I wouldn't use Chambers for Chisora.
Yeah.
Two different kinds of fighters completely, but I guess they found a reason to use them. I guess they used them to make him sharper.
Yep.
To see him make it sharper. You know, if he boxed Eddie to get sharper off Eddie's boxing skills.
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be that kind of fight. If they used him to, like I said, to make Tyson sharper.
Yes.
You know, it was a good tactic, but I think I would have got guys more in the mold
of Derek Chisora.
I couldn't argue with Peter and them for using Eddie Chambers.
Right. The other fight, which I'm very interested in, Jennings against Mike Perez.
A barn burner.
Absolutely.
That's a barn burner. That's a barn burner. And,
I just got off the phone to Jennings, and he's just so focused. He's like, I don't care about anybody else. I'm focused on this fight. I'm focused on me. I don't care about any other heavyweight in the world. It's about me. And I'm just focused. And when I said him about Perez, he goes, they say he's my toughest fight. Really? Is he? He just doesn't. He's not. He respects Perez, but he's not giving Perez the hype that a lot of people have given him.
Mm-hmm. Well, that could play to his advantage and it could play against his advantage. I've trained Mike Perez before, and I know what Jennings is up against.
Right.
He's not just up against a fighter; he's up against a mentality.
Right.
Mike Perez has a mentality that's made out of titanium.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He has an unshakable will, unshakable belief in himself.
Right.
And he has power in either hand. So I expect a good fight. Jennings is a cool player in the division. Nothing upsets him. You know, so you got two guys that really wants it. You know, if my back was to the wall, I don't know who I'd take. You know, I don't know who I'd take. Jennings could outbox Mike, but it's not likely. Mike gonna draw. If Mike draws him into a fight, Jennings will lose the fight. If Jennings can maintain his boxing stature,
yes,
you know, if he can maintain his boxing stature going down the stretch.
What about fitness and the fight he had against Muhammad, where he put that gentleman in a coma? Has that had any psychological effects on Mike Perez?
Well, you can't tell. The last fight that he had, you could tell that there was something bothering him.
Takam?
Yeah, in the Takam fight. He was dragging his behind. But I think the professional in him, the professionalism in him will make him realize that, I have to go on. I got to get back into the groove and start fighting to earn my living. I'm a professional fighter. Right. And those things happen. Nobody wants those things to happen, but those things happen.
Okay. So
I think he'll be in the groove for this fight. I think he wants to win this fight. And I think it'll be a very, very, very good fight.
My prediction would have been Jennings within the second of round 9 and 10 stoppage.
You think Jennings gonna stop him?
Late. I think he'll gas late.
You think Perez will gas late?
Yeah, because Jennings set a high work rate.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think Mike Perez by decision or late stoppage.
Okay.
You know, we'll see. You know, but I think that Mike Perez stops him.
Okay, it's gonna be a great fight.
You know, it's gonna be a great fight. It's one that the heavyweight division
needs,
along with Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora. The heavyweight division needs those kind of fights. And I'm thankful to all four of these guys for stepping up. And
I've got some news for you as well.
What's that?
There's another fight that's around the corner in November. Wilder versus Stiverne. I just got off the phone to Bermain Stiverne. It's on.
Yeah. It's November. Hip hip hooray! I like that. I like that too. I like guys stepping up. You know, I think that both of these guys has something to prove. This is the biggest fight of their careers. Yep. It's for the heavyweight championship. And I think that both guys, Wilder and Stiverne, have something to prove. And I think that they're going to come in there with every intent on proving that they belong there.
Yep. What are your question marks about Stiverne?
I haven't seen enough of him to really make an assessment other than what he did with the Areola.
I did tell you he was going to KO Areola, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I said that Areola would be hungry of that fight and that he would step up, and he did.
He was only hungry to get more punch, to get knocked out quicker. That was all.
Winning those rounds. He was winning the rounds. He was winning the rounds. But he's never been a defensive wizard. You know, he was getting hit.
That's it.
And obviously, Stiverne has some kick on his punches.
He has indeed.
You know, so I mean, I'm anxious to see how he handles the big right hand from Wilder.
He said to me that he's never known a one-armed soldier go to war. And he says that Wilder has one right hand. That's it. He says, I respect that right hand, but that's all he's got, a right hand. He says, right. I'm going to camp and I'll prepare for that right hand. What else has he got? apart from a right hand.
Yeah, yeah. That's a nice attitude that he has. Let's see how it stands up against that right hand.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
You know.
uh, Wilder has that right hand, and you cannot dismiss it. It's a devastating right hand. It's devastating. It's numbing when it hits guys. It really numbs them.
It's
So
the guys. He did say the guys
if
fought.
huh? Yeah, but
the guys fought.
you know what I have to say about that? When you see a guy with a lot of knockouts, you remember the Italian guys years ago. You was a young man then, but years ago there was an Italian guy in Italy. His name was Nino La Rocca.
Okay.
He's knocking out a lot of people. Even when you're knocking out subpar fighters, you're still knocking them out because some of those journeyman fighters are there to fight. They're there to make you have a rough night.
Right.
There's no pressure on them. I've already lost 20 fights, so I'm gonna give this guy a hard night.
Right.
Wilder and this guy La Rocca, they changed that with their power. When they hit things, when they hit things. Look at John the Beast Mugabe.
Yes.
The guy. I mean, when they're hitting guys, they're separating them from their senses. So Wilder's power is to be respected. Now, on the other hand, if Stiverne can take away that power, if he can find some way to nullify that power and take Wilder into the later rounds 7, 8, 9 and make the fight tough, then we'll find out some things about both guys.
Can Wilder take the Stiverne power?
As I said, as the fight goes, if he can take that right hand away and force Wilder into a boxing match, then we'll find out some things about both guys, not just boxing skills, about their mental resolve.
Mm-hmm.
Because boxing is it's more than just boxing. It's a chess match. It's a mental resolve. I mean, I've been in the ring where a guy hit my hand. I block a punch, a left hook or something. Something that caught my hand.
Yeah.
My wrist, between my wrist and the base of my hand, and I'm thinking that, hell, I need to avoid that right hand because if it hits me in my head or my mouth, I don't know what's liable to happen. I don't know what could happen here.
Right.
And if I remember, I lost the fight because I was so panicky about getting hit by that right hand. I was a young guy, maybe had about 16 or 17 amateur fights. But this one Irish kid,
right,
he punched me so hard, I blocked the punch.
But still the power's going through.
But I felt that, but he hit my glove, I felt that my mind, the message I got from my mind said, you don't need to get hit by that right hand because if you do, he's going to put you to sleep. So I panicked.
Right.
I admit now, I can look back now and say to myself, I panicked because of the power of that right hand. So there's a lot of psychological ramification that goes on in a battle that people in the audience don't see. Sometimes even the trainers miss it, Right. But it made me weary of being hit, and perhaps I didn't do as well as I could have done because I was so conscious about getting hit with this right hand. I didn't want to get hit with it.
Let's talk about your fighters. Let's talk in particular. There's a gentleman you've got, the cruiserweight. I can never get his name pronounced properly, so remind me.
Alexander Usyk.
How's he been doing?
He's all right. He's 4-0.
Okay.
He's 27 years old. He's 4-0 with 4 KOs.
Right.
And, he constantly tells me that he wants to beat the record of the great Evander Holyfield at cruiserweight. He wants to take the title with 10 fights. I believe that he can beat the cruiserweight division right now. Anybody that's there.
Really?
I believe he can beat anybody there.
If you could pick one fighter, who would you pick?
If I pick one fighter?
Yeah, to challenge for the world title, which cruiserweight would you go with?
Marco Huck. Marco Huck. I'd like to fight Marco Huck right now.
Why?
Fight him because Huck is the premier champion. He's the one, the outstanding champion. I want him to fight the best guy that's there to show how good Usyk is.
What about Pablo Hernandez?
Hernandez, I believe, is a lefty.
Okay.
My guy's a lefty. I hate this happen. I'll fight him, You understand? I'll fight him, and but two lefties, it don't make for a good fight. But I'd fight him. You know, Hernandez.
Another one.
Lebedev is a tough guy. You know, but I think Usyk will stop Lebedev earlier than he's stopping the other two. Because Lebedev wouldn't respect Usyk, so he'd get knocked out. You know, I think the most difficult guy out there, actually at cruiserweight, is the kid that boxed Eddie Chambers.
Yes.
He's the most difficult guy because of his style. You know, he's a left-handed guy that doesn't really commit. You have to go get him. You know.
Okay.
But if I fought him with Usyk, I wouldn't play the same game that I allowed Chambers to get into with him. But I do believe that I have the prescription on how to fight him. You know, you just got to have the guy that's playing. Eddie Chambers is a boxer counterpuncher that I was trying to make be the aggressive.
And in the end, Eddie ended up getting countered himself.
Yeah, but you know why? Because I feel that Eddie didn't commit. I think Eddie couldn't commit to being the aggressive. I don't think Eddie really committed to being there. He couldn't make that adjustment, you know?
Right.
I was trying to have Eddie to cut the ring off and put the pressure on him, you know? You see what happens when you put the pressure on him. I don't think he's going to be that good. Well, somebody that's putting the pressure on that's really putting Eddie was half-heartedly putting the pressure on him. Eddie is not that kind of guy. He's a counterpuncher, a speedy counterpuncher. And that's what he was blowing the fight at.
Okay. I was asked to ask you that question in terms of, from, I think, UAE Boxing News. That was one of the questions I asked me on Twitter. The other question is, what's your thoughts on Anthony Joshua?
Who?
Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua.
Olympic gold medalist.
Heavyweight?
He won heavyweight, and he just knocked out Matt Skelton in 2 rounds.
Oh, yeah, I saw him. He looks good. He looks good. These guys always look good coming out the gate. But, again, you can't tell until you got somebody that's going to sit and punch him back.
That's my point.
When you got a guy that's going to punch you back, punch you in your mouth, you know, I have so much respect for Lennox Lewis to this day because the fight that he took, the Londoner that he took on in the 13th fight.
Gary Mason.
Yeah. Everybody was afraid of Gary Mason. You know? Nobody wanted to touch Mason, you know? Nobody wanted to touch Gary Mason, you know? And Lennox took him on and stopped him, you know? That's my kind of guy because he's coming into the division saying, look, I'm not handling me with kid gloves. I have an amateur pedigree and I want to fight. This is what I'm talking about, Alexander Usyk. Usyk is saying, don't handle me with kid gloves. I want to fight the best guys now. When I have a guy, when I'm training a guy and the guy says, I want to fight the best guys now, I'm the last guy in the world that's going to be in the locker room saying, no, that's too much right now. I'm the guy that's in the locker room patting him on the back saying, yeah, you want him? Yeah, that's right. You can beat him. Let's go. I'm not going to I'm not going to throw water on his fire. I'm going to add fluid to the
fire, of course. Okay, while you're on that note, let's talk about Kell Brook and Sean Porter.
It's a tough fight.
You think so?
Yeah, it's a tough fight, but I like Sean Porter.
Okay.
I like Sean Porter, not because his boxing's out, because of his mentality and his conditioning. He's a throwback fighter, you know? He's coming in there to do damage. He's letting you know right from the rip that I'm here to do damage. So I like Sean Porter. You know, Kell Brook, I haven't watched him that much, but from what I've seen, he's in a fight. What do you think?
I think that Porter's too strong for him. I actually think that Porter gets him out of there within 4 to 5 rounds. I just don't see how Kell Brook fights backing up against the ropes in America. And Porter's a better fighter than Carson Jones.
If he backs up, and Carson Jones is a pretty good fighter.
Yeah, but Porter's a much better fighter than Carson Jones.
Yeah, of course.
And Brook was in a life and death struggle against him.
Yeah, of course. You know, in fact, he was lucky to get out of there with a decision against him. You know,
he was lucky because I actually put Carson Jones to stop him in that night.
Yeah,
and I said he'd stop him within 9, and it was close, very close.
Yeah, yeah. It was very close, and I thought that it could have been either. I thought Carlson could have won that fight. But Carlson is one of those guys that you can never underestimate. On any given night, he can come in there and upset anybody. He's that kind of guy. He has that kind of mentality. That's what I was alluding to earlier. That when you have that kind of mentality, you can turn it. You can turn things around in a moment's notice.
Right. GGG versus Gil.
Who cares?
Why'd you say that?
I just don't see. Not unless Gil is going to do something different. Not unless he's going to do something surprising. GGG is going to beat him.
Badly?
I think so. Not unless Gil can come up with something fancy from what I've seen over the years. I think that he's in a fight, that he hasn't been in before. He's in a tough battle.
I had another fight. Bernard Hopkins versus Kovalev.
That fight hasn't been made.
I understand it's going to be made. November time.
With Bernard is an opportunist. You can't blame him for being who he is and what he's doing. But he's an opportunist. He's beating these guys, these green guys, because they don't have a clue as to how the boxing logistics goes.
Right.
Bernard's sitting back in his web, just like a spider, and watching people walk into that web. Once they get in that web, he said, okay, now I go down and eat. Those guys don't seem to understand the logistics of boxing. You understand? I mean, Hopkins is a good fighter. But what is he, 49 years old?
Yeah.
No. And I'm 27, 28 years old, 29 years old. No. He's not beating me. He's not beating me. Nobody seems to have that mentality to go in there and says, you know what, if I step on the gas and be reckless out here, what's going to happen? Hopkins is not going to knock me out. He's not going to knock me out. You understand? Chances are he's going to tire before I do. But they go out there and they try to box and play tic-tac-toe with him. You understand? And he cruises right to a decision. He just outpoints him, outsmarts him, outslicks him. But I wouldn't have those guys. If I was training a guy, I would train him for all-out war. You fight with the boxer and you box with the fighters.
Right.
That's my philosophy. In that case, like a guy that old, that has been through as much as he had, I'm going to train my guy for 15 rounds of war. For 15 rounds of war, not 12, 15. For 15 rounds of war, we're going to be right in his face. Every time he punches, we're going to punch. We're not going to get caught up in the holding thing. It's going to be a fight.
Right.
A lot of bumps, knocks, and bruises in this fight. We're going to fight the guy, and if everything goes according to nature, he's going to tire before you do, and that's when you take over. But you cannot go out there playing pity-pat with Bernard Hopkins because he's going to outsmart you, he's going to outslick you, he's going to con you.
I believe Kovalev will take the fight to Hopkins, and he punches with some awesome power. I already call him a legendary puncher because I think he hits that hard.
Yeah. Kovalev needs to cut the ring off, not so much as he smothers his punches. He needs to cut the ring off and punch. Punch, and stay out of the web. Once he gets into that web, Hopkins is going to beat him.
Right.
You got to keep some kind of driveway between your punches where you can land at a distance where you can get power on those punches.
Right.
These guys are trying to fight him as close to him as his navel button. How can you punch? You can't punch when you land inside like they did. You got to keep some kind of driveway between you and the fighter that you're trying to punch where you can get some leverage on your punches. Kovalev gets that kind of leverage on his punches.
And if he gets that sort of leverage and you're at the end of it, it's good night.
Yeah. I think Kovalev beats Stevenson.
I think he knocks him out, personally. Stevens only got a left hand.
Yeah.
And he needs to line you up with it.
Well, that's all he needs if he can land it. If Stevenson can land the left hand, that's all he needs. But I think that Kovalev beats him. Yeah. I'd like to see that fight. I'd like for them to make that fight.
Did you hear that Kovalev and GGG was sparring, and GGG, Kovalev was intimidated by GGG's punch power, and he dropped him in sparring.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I was shocked when I heard that.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Why?
Because of the kind of student that Golovkin is. He's a student of the game, and he works very hard. He works very, very hard, and he's a student of the game. So it wouldn't surprise me if he dropped him in sparring. You know, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I'd like to see Golovkin fight Andre Ward. I mean, let's do something. Let's make this thing exciting.
Yes.
You know, let's make it exciting. Let's put a fight together.
Did you see George Groves, Carl Froch's win over George Groves?
Pardon me?
Did you see Carl Froch's win over George Groves?
Yeah.
What did you think?
That didn't surprise me. That didn't surprise me.
Why?
I chose Froch to do that. You know, they said the fight was stopped prematurely the first time. I said in the article, I forget, who did I do? Somebody did an online survey. And I said that they stopped the fight too soon. I said this time that Froch would make it more evident that the fight should be stopped. You know? Just doesn't have the experience. He's a hardened veteran. Froch is. He's a hardened veteran. You know? And I felt that he was going to come in and capitalize on it and take it away from him. And he did that. He didn't do exactly what I thought he would do, but almost exactly what he thought I would do. Thought that he would do.
How do you think James DeGale would do against Froch?
Who?
James DeGale.
I don't know. I haven't seen enough of DeGale to declare him a winner in that fight.
Right.
You know, I haven't seen enough of him. He doesn't capture my attention.
Okay, I understand that. One fight I did bump into on Wednesday night was Dillian Whyte.
Uh-huh.
He's on the comeback trail. I believe he's back in October.
Uh-huh.
So your thoughts on that? Actually, Dillian Whyte stopped Joshua in the amateurs and dropped him.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, well, he get his chance at pro. They're in the same neighborhood, so maybe he get a chance at pro. I wouldn't suggest it right now. Dillian's been out for a while, so he'll need a few fights to get back.
Yes.
You know, he'll need a few fights to get back in the groove. You know.
Yep.
So Dillian could be a good fighter. I just sit back and watch. My position in boxing is not to train trainers. My position is to train fighters. So I'll let the trainers sit back and do their thing. And then when they're ready to step up and get some real knowledge about the sport of boxing and real knowledge of application about the sport, then that's where I come in at. But my position is not to train, to do an online training service to trainers who sitting back and listen to these interviews. So I don't say everything that I know or everything that should be.
I understand that.
I sit back and I watch these guys that call themselves trainers around the world. I watch them make numerous mistakes. As my mother would say, my mother said, just because you've been doing something for 25 or 30 years don't make you
good at it.
You know, you could have been around for 25, 30 years and been a 25, 30-year fool. You know? I see a lot of that in the sport.
It's true. It's very true. Very true.
I see a lot of those things inside the sport, you know, where you got a lot of people out there who oppose. Everybody has a inside track on what you should do in a boxing ring, and most of them don't have a clue when the fighter gets in trouble what to do. They don't.
That's what matters.
Huh?
That's when it matters.
Yeah. And it's not my position to give out advice on interviews and stuff. Do your thing. I'm sitting back watching. You know, I don't have to call names. All you have to do is just sit back, watch the fight, and watch the advice that's being given in the corners.
Well, you listen to the guys in the corner and then watch their track records. Who have you trained and what have you done with them?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just the way it is at the moment. And I think that's going to continue. But unless these trainers get exposed for what they really are, as we talked about, this Hall of Fraud trainers.
it's a lot of con artists out there posing as trainers, and they don't have a clue as to what to do when they're in that ring. So I just sit back and I watch. It's good for me. It's good for me. It's good for me. I don't get into no hoopla about it. I don't have to go out and call no names. Just sit back and watch and listen to the corners, and you'll find out who knows boxing and who doesn't know boxing. I'm competent and confident in what I do, and what I bring to the sport.
Also, I saw some Facebook photographs of you with Monty Barrett. Is he making a comeback?
Monty Barrett is a good friend. He's a good friend and a brave guy. But at this point, I think that Monty Barrett's best years are behind. Right now, I'm just in the gym working with him.
Right.
But you know how it is. Guys come in the gym and working, they get in some shape and stuff, and they want to fight. They want to fight, I don't want Monty to fight. I like Monty,
Right.
I don't want to fight these young guys and stuff. He's been through some brutal battles in his career. Some very brutal battles. And I like him, I like him beyond boxing, I mean, I go to Monty's house for dinner and watch fights and stuff.
Right.
Him and his wife and his kid, so I'm like, hey. But I'm there for him, I mean, he's a guy, he's 42 years old, and he's in such good shape. He lures me into it, say, I want to fight. I want to take one more fight, It's always that one more fight.
Right. Yes.
But I don't want him to get injured. I don't want him to get hurt. He's going to listen to this interview, and I want him to listen to it. I don't want him to get hurt or injured in the name of making a few $1,000s. I don't want that.
Right.
Because I value him as a friend. I value him as a mind, a boxing mind.
Right. Appreciate that.
He's so valuable, in a job like HBO or like Sky or ESPN or Showtime. This guy is a valuable boxer. He has a boxing mind. He's a fighter.
Right.
He's a brilliant mind. He's articulate. He sees different things, that trainers should see.
Right.
And he's just a beautiful boxing mind. And you don't want that boxing mind to be wasted inside the ring. I mean, you've had your day.
Done. So leave it as it is. Leave it be. Finally, Shannon the Cannon Briggs. Any news?
Shannon's rolling on. Shannon's planning, making his plan. He's enthusiastic about what he's doing. And you never can tell, You never can tell. I like Shannon because he's a brilliant mind also.
Yep.
He's a very articulate guy. He has a good punch. He can box. He's whipping himself into good shape, and he's been busy, So you never can tell what Shannon's going to come up with, I mean, you can't dismiss a guy like that. He can take a punch. He has the courage. He can give a punch, and he can box.
Is he still chasing Wladimir, or do you think that's all calmed down now?
Of course he's chasing the champion. Of course. Because in his mind, he believes he can beat him. In his mind, he believes he can beat him. So,
would you train Briggs against Klitschko?
I wouldn't even allude to that. I wouldn't say that I would do that. $1 million. Yeah, that makes a lot of difference. You see, in boxing, when you do something like that in boxing, people look at you and say, "Oh, he's a traitor. He's not good." But if you're a physician, if you are an attorney,
right?
If you're a building contractor,
right?
It's right. It's okay. But in boxing, if you do that, you're a traitor. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? $1 million. What are you talking about? The name of the game in life and in boxing is money. Money. It's always money. So it depends on how the circumstances is unfolded. You put the money up there. It depends on how things unfold.
Right.
Right now, I'm in solid allegiance to Wladimir Klitschko's training camp.
Of course.
I believe that I'm a irreplaceable fixture in that camp.
Right.
You know, and I'd like to see Shannon get a shot at that title.
Right.
I think that boxing needs excitement like that there. But having said that, I'd like to see Shannon fight somebody before he gets to that. I just don't want Shannon to fight somebody and come in there without proving himself.
I understand that. Shagayev is just one version of the title.
Who?
Against Friziquendo.
He stopped him?
I didn't. I heard the fight was dreadful. I didn't know. I heard Friziquendo wasn't throwing many punches, and the other guy won a fight, but he was totally out of shape. So.
Who's out of shape?
What's the other guy's name?
Chagayev?
Chagayev, yeah.
He's out of shape?
He was out of shape in the fight, yeah. But he still won the world title.
The WBA?
Yes.
Regular title?
That's the one.
Incredible. Chagayev got the WBA belt.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Is it bad? Is it bad?
He got the WBA world title.
Yeah. Is that bad or is that bad?
It's bad because how can you have a super champion and a regular champion? I mean, they're making mockery out of this here stuff. The only one that's winning is the organizations.
Yeah.
They're winning. But they're the only ones that's winning this stuff. It's ludicrous. It's crazy. You're the regular champion.
You're a regular champion.
Wladimir is a super champion, but you're a regular, you know? I mean, how can you get validity out of there?
Okay.
You can't.
I don't understand because when Hay fought Wladimir, Hay was the WBA champion, and Wladimir won that title off and took that title. Well, this regular one came from Povetkin, right? That must have been Povetkin's title. I take it. Must have been.
No. He won the title from Hay, WBA belt. And then the WBA excelled Wladimir to super champion status and made the belt that he had vacant. You know, and now you're super, so we got to get somebody else to be the custodian of this belt. It's bull. It's bull, and they're cheapening the belts by doing that. You know, they're cheap. People say, "Well, give other fighters more chance to make money." You want to make money, win the regular title. You know, if I had my way, I would get rid of the junior divisions.
Right.
You know, the only one that I could really say that's legitimate is a cruiserweight title because. Come on, you can't have a guy that's 200 pounds fighting a guy that's 260. So, I'd make allowances for that. You can't have a guy, that's crazy. You know, you're 200 pounds, 6'2", and you fight a guy 6'9", 6'8", 6'7", 270. You know, that to me, that's not fair.
No, it's not fair.
You know, but the junior middleweight, the super middleweight, you know, the junior welterweight, get the junior light, burn them belts. Burn them. Burn them belts. And bring it, you know what I'm saying? Burn them belts. They're confusing people. Hey, let's get back to the old days and let's fight. You know, if you either a featherweight or you're a lightweight. You either
a lightweight or middleweight or welterweight. Yeah.
Well, you know, and you deal with the weights they're in, you know, but they come up with you know, the only ones that's winning is the organizations that's sanctioning the belts.
There was rumors they were going to try and bring it up to super heavyweight.
You know why they won't do the super heavyweight?
Why?
Because there's not enough big guys to sustain that weight. There's not enough guys that can. I mean, what would be super heavyweight? Anything above 225. You'd have to make it anything above 225.
Or maybe height-wise. Anything over 6'5".
Yeah. I guess that's somehow you could adjust it. That's what you have to do to adjust.
Because you could have a light fighter, heavyweight, that's tall, and 6'7", 6'8", but lighter. So I did it on height. I do it on height.
You know, I don't know whether I'll be around in the years to come, 75, 80 years from now. I suppose I'll be gone. But I think boxing is going to die. It's going to die because the people in it, the greedy, selfish, rotten people in it is going to destroy it. You understand? The greedy, rotten people in the sport is going to destroy the sport. They're going to get rid of it. You know? They're crippling the sport so bad with this nonsense. First, they're going to cut from 15 to 12 rounds. What make you think that guys? Oh, they said we cut it because too many guys is getting hurt. I think that guys get hurt between 1 and 7. First round and the 7th round. Mm-hmm. You understand? You're going to cut the rounds in the name of. You should have made it 13 rounds instead of 12 rounds. 13 rounds would have been more acceptable. Yeah. 13 rounds is an odd round here. Make it 13 rounds. You got to go 13 rounds for the title. I could have accepted that more than 12 rounds. And now you can fight for I think it's the WBU belt is only 10 rounds for the title.
Oh no.
10 rounds for the title, WBU belt.
That's not good.
No, that's not good. It's not good for the sport. You know, it's not good for the sport. You want to fight for the title, you got to fight 12 rounds. Interested in the sport. I think they're making a big mistake by doing these kind of things, you know.
Finally, Adrian Broner is going to fight Lucas Matisse, I'm understanding. You know what's going to happen, don't you?
Broner should beat him. Broner should beat him, but I thought Broner should beat Maidana, too.
Well, no, I thought he'd beat Maidana. I can't see him beating Lucas Matisse. I'm sorry. Can't. Just no defense.
Yeah, I said that he should beat him. But it depends on what Broner shows up. I think the Broner that fights Matisse is going to be a better fighter than the one that fought Maidana.
I think it's the same, but Broner, nothing different, nothing changes, and he gets knocked out. So he's getting caught with punches with that. What's his name? What's his name again? Carlos Molina.
Yeah.
He's getting caught with punches by Carlos Molina of all people.
That didn't look good. That didn't look good.
Right. So if you're getting hit with Carlos Molina, imagine what Lucas Matisse is going to do.
Yeah, that didn't look good. You know, yeah, Matisse is a tough guy, but again, I think that Adrian Broner is going to be different in that fight. I think he should win that fight handily by decision, you know, but it depends on what Broner shows up. You know, that's the wild card here, what Broner shows up. You know, if he shows up wrong, he could be in trouble with Matisse.
Absolutely. James Ali Bashir, Uncle James Ali Bashir, thank you so much once again for sharing your wisdom with Bayloric TV.
Not a problem.
Anything else you'd like to say that maybe I've missed out on?
No, I think that the powers that be is destroying the sport, though. They're making people turn a blind eye to it with these crazy decisions. The last fight we just saw there with guys, well, I think it was one of the judges scored it with Canelo Alvarez.
Oh dear, let's not even go there.
You know, 117, 111. It's an insult to the viewing audience. It's an insult to the people who pay for pay-per-view that one judge could sit back and score the fight 117, 111. I'm trying to figure out what fight were you watching. Those kind of judges need to be called in front of everybody and say, show me your logic in choosing that. Show me your logic.
Exactly.
Show me your logic. You don't have a logic for this in 117, 111. It could have been a case for or against that Canelo won the fight. Some people like punches. Some people like boxers. So you got a case for and against. Me, myself, I'd have gave it to Lara by split decision. I thought Lara won the fight. What did you think?
Lara won the fight.
Yeah, Lara won the fight. The name of the game is outpoint the other guy.
Yep.
Canelo said that I wanted him to stand still, but yeah, you wanted him to stand still. I want to hit a lottery. I mean, you have to. It's like saying that you wanted Lara to commit suicide. Lara did what he had to do to win the fight. He outboxed.
I'm not a big fan of Canelo. I'll tell you that now. I think he's overrated. I really do.
He's tough, but he got outboxed that night. The name of the game is boxing.
I'd like to see him fight Cotto.
Yeah, well, he's going to run into a brick wall right there because right now Cotto's at the top of his game. Peace, brother.
Peace. Thank you so much.
Get some rest, you know.
Thanks always for talking to Bayloric TV.
Yes, sir. I look forward to hearing from you again.
Take care. Good night.